This is the fifth solving equations video. I am Ms. McCool and our learning target is I can solve a multi-step equation. This video goes with equations 5, and at the top of equations 5 you see an example of a multi-step equation. Right here, this is a multi-step equation. And then an example of solving that multi-step equation, as well as a list of the steps that you will perform when you are solving your own multi-step equations. Now, if you look at that list, each one corresponds to a skill or strategy that you have been practicing in this packet so far. The distributive property you practiced using to solve equations in the worksheet equations 3. In equations 2, you practiced combining like terms in order to then solve an equation. Most recently, you worked on moving variables to one side in equations 4. And you started your work in this packet with two-step equations in equations 1. So if you look at this list, none of the steps that we are performing are new. What is new is just the order in which you perform them. Looking at this example, I hope that we have already talked to you about the fact that this is a very small typo. Okay, and then if you look at this example, this is the order in which you are performing those steps. So first, distributive property. Anytime there's parentheses, you're going to get rid of them, which we did here. Next, you're looking for like terms, 20 and 4, and combining them as we did to get 24. If there are then variables on both sides of the equal sign, you will need to move one of those variable terms to the other side, in this case by subtracting 2n from both sides. And then you're left with a two-step and then a one-step equation. I'm going to work through those first 4 examples on the front of this worksheet. If you've already done that, then you can just check your work with mine. If you're a little confused, then just follow along with me. Okay, this first example, 4m plus 2 times m minus 5 equals 26. Looking at our list of steps, we first look for parentheses, and if we find them, we use the distributive property. So we do have parentheses here. First step, distributive property. 4m plus 2 times m minus 2 times 5 equals 26. All right, distributive property. Next, we combine like terms. We do have like terms. 4m plus 2m is 6m minus 10 equals 26. Check. Variables to one side, not necessary here. We only had variables on the left-hand side of our equation, and then we are solving our remaining two-step equation. Always forget that thing. Okay, inverse operations are going to be addition and division, starting with addition. Then we have 6m equals 36. Final inverse operation on both sides. What in the world? On both sides, we are dividing by 6, and we end up with m equals 6. If we were to plug that back in, 6 minus 5 is 1. So 2 times 1 will give me 2. 2 plus 4 times 6 is 24. So 24 plus 2 does equal 26. As you can see, the check is a little complicated when we get to multi-step equations. So usually we do not require it, but of course it's a great idea to check your work. Okay, next example. 5 times y plus 2 minus y equals 42. First step, are there parentheses? Yes. Distributive property. 5 times y plus 5 times 2 minus y equals 42. Check. Next, we are combining like terms, which we have here. 5y minus y. So 5y minus y leaves me with 4y plus 10 equals 42. We do not have variables on both sides, so we don't need to perform that step. Two-step equation, we are pros, so we are subtracting 10 from both sides. Left with 4y equals 32. Last inverse operation is division, and we are left with y equals 8. Little easier to check. 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 times 5 is 50. 50 minus 8 is 42. Hooray, our solution is correct. It does make that initial equation true. Okay, moving to the bottom two. Finally, we have variables on both sides of the equal sign. We're still going to follow our same order of steps. So, distributive property first. 4 times 2 plus 4 times 6y equals 30 plus 14y minus 2. Combining like terms, I do have one set, none over here, so I just recopy. 30 minus 2 is 28 plus 14y. Okay, yay, variables on both sides. I need to subtract the smaller variable, so I'm subtracting 14y from both sides. That leaves me with 8 plus 10y equals 28. And then I have a two-step equation. Hooray! Minus 8 minus 8, 10y equals 20. Dividing by 10, y just equals 2. I am not going to try to check that, but if I were to check it, I would plug 2 in for y. Okay, I'm going to check it. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 times 4, what is that? 14 times 4, 56, maybe? And then we have 14 times 2, which is 28. 28 plus 30 is 58. 58 minus 2 is 56. Is that what I said? I hope so. All right, final equation, bottom right. Distributive property first. 15 plus y equals 3y minus 6 plus 5y. Combining like terms, we have 3y plus 5y, which is 8y minus 6. Variables on both sides, so I need to subtract that smaller variable term, which is the 1y. And now I'm left with 15 equals 7y minus 6. Two-step equation, plus 6 plus 6. I have 21 equals 7y. Dividing through by 7, and I have my final solution, y equals 3, and that makes my initial equation true. 15 plus 3 is 18. 3 minus 2 is 1. So 3 plus 5 times 3 is 15. 3 plus 15 does equal 18, and that does work. Okay, that is the front of your Equations 5 worksheet. You're now going to turn to the back and do the practice. When you're done with that practice, please have your teacher check it or check it really thoroughly with the answer key. You are now able to solve most of the multi-step equations you will be faced with next year. Congratulations.